This video demonstrates how to prepare, summarize, compare, and carefully interpret the Campus Link survey responses. Begin by identifying the unit of analysis. In this survey, each row should represent one student's response. Before analyzing the data, check for duplicate submissions, impossible values, and responses that do not meet the study criteria. Record unanswered questions as missing values rather than as zeros. A total of 24 responses were received after removing one duplicate submission. The final sample included 23 students. For every calculation, report the denominator used, since missing responses may cause the number of valid observations to vary across questions. Here is a compact summary of the valid Campus Link responses. Of the 23 students, 5 never used the app, 6 used it once, 7 used it 2 or 3 times, and 5 used it 4 or more times. The mean usefulness rating was 3.7, the mean ease rating was 3.4, and the mean intention rating was 3.5. 18 students, or 78%, selected 3 or higher for usefulness. 15 students, or 65%, selected 3 or higher for ease. 16 students, or 70%, selected 3 or higher for intention to use. Again, these summaries describe this valid sample. They do not speak for every campus student. The team also recorded prior experience with a similar app. 12 students had prior experience and 11 did not. The prior experience group had a mean ease rating of 3.8. The no prior experience group had a mean ease rating of 3.0. This is a useful comparison, but it must name the groups and the measure. The groups are small, and the students were not randomly assigned to have prior experience. We can say that ease ratings were higher in this sample among students with prior experience. We cannot say that prior experience caused the difference. Counts and percentages can reveal a signal worth investigating. For example, 15 of 23 students rated Campus Link at least 3 for ease. That tells us that positive or neutral ease ratings were common in this sample. It does not prove that Campus Link is easy for all students. It also does not tell us whether students understood the same thing by easy. Quantitative analysis helps us notice regularities and ask better follow-up questions. It does not remove the need for context, careful sampling, or qualitative evidence. Small samples make each response influential. Suppose a 5-person class sample contains 4 positive ease ratings. We might report 80% positive. If one additional student gives a low rating, the result becomes 4 of 6, or 67%. The first percentage was not false, but it was unstable. A change of one response moved the percentage by 13 points. This is why we report the count beside the percentage and avoid presenting a small sample as if it were a precise measurement of a whole population. Use language that matches the evidence. Say, in this sample, 15 of 23 students gave an ease rating of 3 or higher. You might add, the responses suggest that ease of learning deserves further investigation. Avoid saying, students find Campus Link easy, because that sounds universal. Also avoid saying, Campus Link increases student engagement, because the survey did not measure that outcome or establish a change over time. Naming the sample and the measure makes the claim more honest and more useful. In our survey, usefulness and intention to use again tend to be higher together. Students with higher usefulness ratings often also report stronger intention. This is an association in the observed responses. It is not proof that usefulness caused intention. Perhaps students who already use campus services more often gave both ratings, or perhaps a successful first task influenced both answers. The survey also measured both variables at one time. We can report the association and ask an interview question about why students decide to return. We cannot claim a causal explanation from these responses alone.